that one is really important medicine. In fact, I just had a guy email me back because he said he's got into poison ivy and it's really bad. And I said, now crush up some of this. And in fact, I think I already took it off my phone, but I'll show you the email. And you crush that up and get as much juice out of it as you can and tape it right on the rash. And in 2 days, that it will take the blisters down and dry that up. And I've had a buddy, when I first told him about this, he had patches all over his body. He did about a third of them in calamine lotion. He did about a third of them in this, and about a third of them he left alone. He said the calamine and the ones he left alone were about the same. He said these healed up about 2 or 3 days quicker than everything else. So it's really potent. It's an antibiotic as well. So if you got any kind of cut that's starting to get infected, you do the same thing. You make a poultice, which is just, you know, mashing it up and putting it right on there and tape it right onto it. It's also an edible green, and you can eat it and get a little bit of that antibiotic action. So if you're trying to kick off some kind of a illness or something like that, it's good to eat a lot of that stuff. Again, it's slightly bitter. It's not the best tasting green out there, but you can eat the younger tender leaves just raw like that. The older ones, you want to just put them in a little hot water for just a little bit to tender them up a little bit. The seed, they put a big spike up. We'll probably see more of this, where they got this big spike covered with seeds. Those seeds are full of vitamin B12, and they're nutritious as well. There's a lot of nutrition in that. And there's some information that says upping your vitamin B12 makes you taste bad to insects. So it's a good thing to incorporate.
Now.
And what's the name of that again?
Broadleaved plantain.
Broadleaf plantain. Next we
Yeah,
got
and,
a violet. It's kind of a heart-shaped. And it has sometimes little purple flowers. Great for that.
And it still has that smell all winter long.
Mint.
You can still make tea out of it. And it's so strong. I'll put that in salads, but I'll just tear little bits of it. You don't want to put much. It'll overwhelm whatever you're doing with it. But it makes tea, and you can throw it in for a little bit of flavoring.
That's a
And
good
I've also
flavor.
heard of people rolling up like little pieces of meat or something like that and baking things in the rolled up leaf.
Brush your teeth with that.
Huh?
Brush your teeth with that.
Yeah, and it's almost a licoricey, really strong flavor.
Yeah, it's good though. Smart weed.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you smarter.
And see the pink in there, these are the pink flowered one. There's a white flowered one. This one's, if anybody wants to try it, they're pretty mild and it's perfectly good edible.
Okay.
I always get the younger, tender. On almost all this stuff, you want to grab the younger, tender leaves out in the top. That's the stinging nettle right there.
What's it called?
Or
This is smartweed.
And the stinging nettle, what's that for?
That's what we've been
Is that the
cording
mint?
up. That's what we've been
the
using
cordage.
for cordage. And these little young tender tops are really good pot herb.
How they?
You have to cook them. A pot herb means you generally have to cook it. Now,
well, I'm trying.
see these little hairs? There's just got a few because it's a young one, but there's real tiny little hairs. Those are like hypodermic needles. There's a gland at the base of each one of these hairs that has a toxin. That thing is like hollow and it shoots that toxin into you when you drive that thing into you. When you drive
Now, is
that
it only
little,
at the bottom? I see.
yeah, there's a few of them right there.
Are
And
they
this is a
purple
really
leaves?
small leaf. If we find a much bigger plant, it'll be a lot hairier. We'll find better examples of this further down the trail. This was flooded recently, so a lot of the bigger plants have been pushed over, and this is all second growth since the flood. But anyway, somebody come up with the idea that you can do this. You roll up the leaf really tight. And you roll it between, you just roll it like that. That crushes those little glands. So the little spiky things are all wrapped up in the center.
And you can eat it.
And you can eat it raw like that. Oh, you want to taste too? But I've done that quite a few times and I've never gotten any of the spiky. Do that.
Stingy nettle.
Yep.
Cordage.
Well, it's easier to do green, isn't it? Then can you hang those and dry them?
Yep.
Do you want to do cordage with them I mean, I guess you can green.
You can
can't
green, and I said this earlier, but if you use them green, it makes perfectly good cordage. But see how much moisture is in there? That moisture is adding mass. That as it dries, it loses that mass. So your twisting are going to have little spaces in
I
it.
see.
So it's not as strong.
Yeah.
But if you need cordage right then, and it's not going to be something you're going to use for a long time, it's perfectly good. And it's really strong. It's not quite as strong as it is when it dries. Seed tick season. Sometimes you'll bump on a piece of vegetation, you'll look down and you'll have a spot that big around of solid hundreds of little tiny crab lice sized hatchling ticks. And
Duct
that's
tape.
the best thing to carry around with you is a little bit of duct tape and pull them off of you.
That's good to know.
This is a real good one. It's these red berries.
What is that?
It's called spice bush. This one is
a little bush, isn't it? A tree bush.
It's a really good tea. Here, crush the leaf and smell it. It makes really good tea. The berries are a good allspice replacement. So you can dry just the fleshy parts. The seeds are actually good. You can eat them raw, or you can toast them up. They taste a little bit better when you toast them. When you get to be my age, you might want to use this stuff called Metamucil.
Plantain.
I don't, but anyway, Metamucil, they say they have psyllium husk. That's one of the sources of psyllium husk, is that the husk of that little seed. They're in the same family. See how each individual, the clover is round. Each individual leaflet is round. These are heart-shaped.
What's it called again?
Taste it. Sour. Eat the whole thing. Yep.
Sour weed?
It's actually wood sorrel.
Wood sorrel.
This one is called yellow wood sorrel.
Yeah, that's more
Some
proper
people call
term.
sour grass or sour weed.
Wood sorrel. I've heard of
And the
that.
little seeds we used to call pickles because they're really sour.
So it's like a lemon.
They are.
But it's a good sour.
Now there's another plant called peppergrass. It's in the mustard family. And if you get a whole bunch of this sorrel, there's another wood sorrel that grows up on the slopes called violet wood sorrel. It's even more so. It's got a thicker, fleshier leaf like a shamrock, and it is like lemon juice almost. It's so tart and sour.
That's what I think is lemon.
Yeah.
Lemon sour.
Almost got kind of
So you put a bunch
honeysuckle
of that in and a bunch of
flavor
that
to it.
peppergrass, and it's like having lemon pepper seasoning in your salad.
What's this one?
Blackberry? Nope. See the purplish stem?
Mulberry.
And it's mulberry is a tree. This one is round, whereas a blackberry stem is octagonal. It has little sides to it. This one will always be perfectly round. It has that whitish powder on it, and it's purple, and that's black raspberry.
Black raspberry. It actually has the raspberries and everything?
Yeah. I've filled about a couple of quart containers off there just this, not this thing. Really?
Honey locust. Super sharp points.
Reminded somebody of an elephant's leg
Elephant's
or the
foot.
skin on an elephant's all wrinkly.
Did you say that one was?
It's a wild carrot.
Wild carrot. Can you eat the
Wild
leaves?
carrot?
You can, but there's a look-alike plant, and I just caution everybody to just kind of stay away from them. I'm pretty positive that this one is a carrot, but poison hemlock, 2 or 3 bites of the root will kill you.
Similar.
And it looks very
Poison
similar.
hemlock. Similar
Yeah.
to wild carrot.
But there's little tiny hairs, and this is so small and underdeveloped I don't even see the hairs on it. But it should have little tiny hairs down at the base of it, and poison hemlock will always be smooth. No, I'm not even seeing any hairs on that. So
Could be
like I
poison
said,
hemlock
well,
then?
I'm thinking not here. It's already done its thing. The best seasonings and for tea.
Wow.
And if you've ever had
bergamot.
Earl Grey tea,
This kind of smells like basil.
yeah. There's one
Hold it
version
off
of
of
this
that.
called wild basil.
Called bergamot.
Yeah.
Bergamot.
Bergamot. And if you want Earl Grey tea, put a couple of leaves of this in Lipton's or for any other
that's
black
strong.
tea, and that's what makes it
Ooh, that's got a
Grey.
kick.
Everybody get a whiff of it?
So you don't eat it raw,
You can. It's
Oh, I
just
just
really
did. I hope
strong.
not.
but it's not going to hurt you.
No, no.
You want to rate it?
Yeah, I ate it.
Yeah, that was the hemlock.
That is like
Whatever he
basil.
just gave me off of that.
Yeah.
It's strong.
Bergamot.
Yeah, it's really strong.
Oh, yeah,
and
it
I'll, just for flavoring, if I'm eating a lot of wild stuff, I'll throw a little bit of this
That's
in.
good stuff.
Ooh.
though,
But it is
but I
so
can't
strong.
swallow
Yeah, it'll take
It is strong.
Now you got a name to call him.
What's it called?
Bigger ticks. Yeah, bigger ticks or bigger lice.
Man, I get them all over me. You can eat them?
Edible? What did he eat?
And then,
Things that stick in your pants.
oh,
Tastes like a garden pea.
I hate them
Get
things.
them all over your pants and sit down and have a snack.
Young poison ivy. Thing with poison ivy has 3 leaves, but the 2 on the side are always shorter and smaller than the tipped one. So, good old poison ivy.
All that green and they are
somebody
tasty.
put one on your tongue and tell us what it tastes like. That's why I wanted
They come
There
down.
we go. Persimmon.
And Michael said he's been going out and finding, 2 or 3 here
Every day.
Every day, and
Patch
more
these
will
in the
drop.
backyard.
And it's like that right up until the frost, and then the frost hits them, and that turns all of them. It has
Well,
to turn all
does
those
the
things.
fruit get any bigger than that?
No,
a little
it's
bit.
about big as they
They'll
get.
get about like
It's like
that.
cherry
good.
tomato size.
I go get
Pure
those.
sugar.
Yeah, they're super.
And smear it on wax paper really thin, let it dry, and you got fruit roll-ups. And
Huh.
it's good.
Travel food.
Now that's where if you cut into it and
Persimmon,
it's got a spoon
fruit
or a
roll-up.
fork,
Right,
that's the
yeah,
kind of
the-
winner you're going to
The
have.
seed
They
is
say they're getting spoons.
Yeah, it was
but-
a spoon this year.
Yeah.
really, and that one is probably a white oak. Yeah, it's a white oak. But, but the acorns have a lot of tannic acid in them, so you have to leach the tannins out. And in California, they had a whole technology the Indians did based on, they called them mush baskets. So they weave these round, flat-bottom baskets with a really tight weave, so it was like a strainer. And then they would shell the acorns and pound them up into a mush, into just a powder as much as they could after they're dried. And then they would stack them in these baskets, and they just pour hot water through them over and over and over, and that would leach all that tannins out. They call those mush baskets. And then after you leach out, you do that for quite a while, then you can toast that stuff and eat it, use it just like flour, make cakes with it.
You can do the same thing in smaller batches with a bandana in a river that's moving
Yeah.
through for about 24 to 36
Yeah.
hours, right?
Usually it's about 3 days.
3
that.
days.
With running
wow.
Right, with running water,
Oh, okay.
with a creek. And a lot of them would take and just bust up the nut meats and put them in these tight net bags and
Yeah.
put them in a spring or a creek.
I didn't realize it took 3 days though.
Ready.
Can you use
Huge.
all acorns or just certain ones?
The white, there's 2 groups of oaks. There's white oak group and the red oak group.
Yeah.
The white oak group, and see this is a white oak group. It's all chewed up, but the ends of the leaves are always rounded and blunt. Red oaks, like the northern red oak, what else? Blackjack oak, pin oak, all will have a really sharp little tip, little point coming off of it. And somebody told me a cool little mnemonic to remember those. It's cowboys and Indians. Indians were white. I mean, Indians were red, and they had pointy feathers coming out their head, and they shot pointy arrows, so they got the little pointy things. Cowboys were white, and they had rounded cowboy hats and rounded end bullets. So it's cowboys and Indians are your mnemonic.
Yeah.